All right, everybody, welcome on back here to wrap things up, of course, for the day, for the week, heading into this Memorial Day weekend, this Friday, May 28th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, of course, here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see all of our students. Norman, I got William D. I want to give a quick shout to in just a moment. Gene, Kath, great to see you all. Michael, James L, Chuck, great to see you all as well. And for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, welcome on back. So without further ado, let's just go right into it. Actually, I want to start with a couple of shout outs, as I just said. I'd like to shout out two of our newest cyber trading students here joining CTU. One brand new student, but of course, one of our members here, actually, William D. from Florida. He actually upgraded just from being a cyber group member to a full-time student, but also Patrick M. from New Hampshire. Welcome aboard. Now, just as far as accessing the live class curriculum, that will be coming up just going into the next couple of weeks. We just finished up May's set of classes. That should be on the student dashboard already. So for William, I know that you're very familiar with the trading room, at least. Going into the Phase 1 stock course, we have 16 separate unique topics that we go through in a 4-month cycle. So make sure that you start with either January or May's set of classes, because those are the real starting months, and then work your way down. You'll kind of see what I'm talking about as you go through yourself, and certainly talk to your education advisor, and they'll be able to walk you through anything else that you're a bit confused on. So welcome aboard, William. Welcome aboard, Patrick. And with that, I mean, hey, VTNR doesn't get much better than this going into any sort of week, let alone holiday weekend. So, right away, let's just go over this trade to begin. Ended up making a really nice pop off of news, not just from today, but from earlier this week. Ended up making a big squeeze in pre-market super early, 6 o'clock Eastern time, pop from 4 to like 6:50. So for a stock that's up this much, one concern is what if it just pulls back after the open, profit taking, and then it just tanks? I mean, that's essentially what it did yesterday. So, we've seen certain stocks make this type of pre-market or post-market pop and run or gap up or off of news, but then it just underperforms after the market opens. It sells off, dumps off. We caught that yesterday here on VTNR. Not the same to be said here today. Ended up making a nice move, at least more so heading into the afternoon. It did give us some opportunity initially here after the open. Bit of a slingshot off of 6, the opening bell print. But more so heading into the afternoon. I mean, I was watching this from 6, and at the same time going into the late morning. I forgot when exactly. I mean, I don't have my book map up currently. I'm out of this trade finally now, but I was actually perfect at 580. At 580, there was a really big order that ended up getting filled from the ask buying, and it wasn't long after that before this started to really make its move up. So I ended up trading this from the morning, did pretty well, and I did pretty well from earlier today. I say that because, well, this stock wasn't so easy to anticipate this exact type of run going into the afternoon. It teased me. I was trading this on 3,000 shares. So for as well as I did, at least, most recently on this run up, it wasn't before, a few losses. I ended up taking I forgot exactly, a few different 4 to 8 cent losses. And one of those was a 9-cent loss on 3,000 shares. So, my profits were getting chipped away at throughout the late morning, early afternoon. But I wasn't just throwing a dart on the wall and hoping it was landing. Just keep that in mind. I mean, I was following a big volume level. So if my best entries to buy a stock are directly after it breaks through a big volume level on the way up, it's not really a matter of if, I feel. It's more of a matter of when. So it, ended up making the push from 580. I was scaling in and out just throughout the afternoon. So I was scaling out 1,000 share lot positions over time. I ended up re-entering on 1,000 shares off of 6 at some point here. And I mean, God bless, this thing ended up making a huge run. I ended up getting out on the last 1,000 share block position off of $7.15. I was a little worried about this not making the move up exactly to the trend line I have here. I actually have a 10-minute chart just to show this, but ended up making the rally from the high here back from 2 days ago, or back from yesterday, rather, I should say, and then squeezed up in pre-market after the open here. And so I was a little worried about that, but man, this thing ended up blowing right over the trend line. Now at this point, I don't know how much more juice this has left in the tank, so to say. Probably the same to be said with myself. It's been a long day of talking. Give me a quick sec here. Oh, pardon me there. So that being said, how much more does this have to go? I'm going to put this on our list, certainly. I mean, it's right where we would want it to be, right? So I'm very hopeful, very optimistic, and there's a good chance I'm going to try and re-enter this trade myself. But look what happened yesterday for a stock that ended up making like a move from $1.75 all the way up to where it's at now in the span of 48 hours. At what point does it begin to pull back? So that said, I want to show something really quick on the weekly chart. One thing I did point out here, and it's like almost like a bit of a head and shoulders, mini head and shoulders pattern here off of like 9, almost 9-ish, maybe a little bit above. But that seemed to have been like a weekly high just on a couple of like weeks here. It ended up holding it well at one point, pop and drop over time. So a very loose thought at this point. And I said it before, but now it's like a realistic thought, kind of a reach still, but we'll see. Maybe this gets up to 9, maybe over 9 for a little bit there. For right now, definitely I'll put VT on our watch list. Definitely a great trade from today. All right, so really quick, let me just jump back to my daily chart. My charts are all like messed up here. So let's just go from top to bottom. I don't have class coming up this afternoon. I do want to show the Bitcoin chart going into Memorial Day weekend, of course, with that in mind. And I shouldn't really say of course, but for all of us, perhaps international living outside the United States, we are off on Monday, closed on Monday. I know Fausto mentioned it earlier, and I should have started this afternoon meeting by saying, of course, I can't appreciate anyone that has actively served or inactively served either way in the armed forces here in the United States or all around the world. We're not just celebrating here nationally, but of course, universally around the world here. So, Memorial Day is a holiday meant to celebrate anyone who has passed away, died during active military service. So, for anyone that has passed away, of course, we celebrate, but for anyone active as well, I can't thank anyone enough for that. You're way more extraordinary and courageous and brave of a person than I will ever be. So I should have started with that. I just wanted to slip that in there right now while I can. But yeah, for right now, VTNR, hey, up to 8. Seeing if this can make the pop up to 8 is certainly realistic. 26,000 or so share order on the ask now at 780. That might be a minor level first. But yeah, for right now, this is definitely on our list. And from here, we'll just keep it going. LEDS number 2, percent gainer, crazy run up today. I mean, we've seen this stock in action just dating back to early 2021. Around February, March time, ended up making a big squeeze from 4 up towards near 10, dumped back down. So this is a pop and drop type of play here. So we have to be really careful of that. This was not the type of stock to hold on as long to compared to VTNR. The spread is way out of control. So it's more of a risk, more of a gamble, so to say, than anything. But man, this ended up building a nice trend. So that's the one thing that can really help you on this stock, obviously. Not necessarily the order book as much as the chart, just the trend that it built. So off the lows, went from roughly 11 up towards just about 17 or 1650-ish perhaps there, and broke out higher. But now at this point, here heading into the afternoon, unless if it really gets going right now, I'm not really too convinced it can. So we'll see what else is out there. See if there's better opportunities here. The EMAN stock, EMAN, I don't know what this float is on this trade. Pretty interested. There we go. All right, so we got 72 million share outstanding, 68.5 million share float for this EMAN stock. I like to see that personally. I mean, you got some people out there that love the super low float stocks, and it's like, those are the ones that like you get sucked into. So this one, I mean, anything's possible, and it can make a fast drop. But man, this has been a nice, slow, steady mover. Good liquidity on the book. Tight spread. So I like this one, and as I'll famously say, as I always say, this stock is shortable. So if it craps out the other way, then it could be a good opportunity on the flip side. But yeah, definitely looking good here as well, the EMAN. Ooh, WBT. I mean, pop from earlier, but I didn't really know too much about this stock. Was it We Built? Oh, no. Well built, but just not really the company I was thinking of. Yeah, just flat here for the meantime. I mean, I'm going to be pretty selective now at this point. We have 2 good ones to start, definitely. ITRM here, not really much going on. Pretty flat. Yext, same thing. This one's ugly, gross. Mosey looked good. Mosey did look pretty good from today. Ended up making a nice sneaky move heading into the late morning, early afternoon, but then ended up making a nice bounce from 5. So that's pretty, important. That's a nice talking point to see this just bounce directly off of 5 up, over 50 cents. And You know, the disappointing part now is that the volume totally waned off prior to 2 o'clock or just right there, and stock's dropping off here now. So again, kind of same thing with this. Unless if this really gets going, I'm not like as likely to follow this. All right, let's keep it going here. Wrap, nice little bounce, I guess, perhaps a higher low, and trying to pop back up now. I feel like the stock's trading like super low volume per minute, so we're gonna pass though. I do want to get to some pot stocks, like I said. Mara and Riot, we're moving back up, going into the late morning, early afternoon. So I'll show Bitcoin just going into the weekend. So let's talk about the pot stocks, I guess, for the meantime. SNDL is up for right now. So, the pot stocks today ended up making a nice move. There was some like snippets, some headline that came out. Just double check here. All right, so there was some headline that came out, or some article, I guess, that came out. Just federal bill to legalize marijuana reintroduced in Congress as the Senate prepares separate measure. That's just the headline. Doesn't mean that it's passed. But that ended up leading to the pump up off of potential news rumor, I guess we'll say, and then really from that point things fell flat. So SNDL goes to show ended up making that move. MJ is the pot stock ETF, so you could just see like this ended up moving up nicely in the morning, tried going up into the afternoon, but then fell flat. So I ended up taking some losses on Tilray, at least going into the mid-afternoon here. Thank God I got out. I ended up trying to get this off 18, expecting a squeeze from 18, like a higher low and a move back up, and then I got stopped out at 1791, and then really fell off from there. So decent opportunity. I thought from here I can make the higher low and pop back up. Clearly didn't happen, but just if you don't get out soon enough, this is what could happen. So Chuck, on the flip side, live inside Cyber Group, he says he's short right now on this trade from 1771. Hey, he's killing it, and the stock is shortable. So just goes to show again, like, hey, if this ends up dropping off, if it's shortable, if the right place, right time, it's a good opportunity. Nice trade, Chuck. I don't think there's really much need to get out yet. It did break below 1750 and move back above it. So watch MJ. If you see a drop off a bit further, it wouldn't shock me to see this slam, much lower itself. I don't know what the opening print is on this trade, but probably down to that, probably around 1725 or so. All right, so let's see what else we got here. We kind of briefly went over those pot stocks there. Kronos is also one of those, up 13%. Ooh, this one made a nice pop just now. Huh. Maybe this has separate news on it. Kronos share spiked to session high following a mention from John Najarian on CNBC's Fast Money, blah, blah, blah. So that came out at 1 o'clock Eastern, right off the pop from there. So, from 8:30-ish up towards almost 9, then popped up to 9 going into this meeting. Yeah, tested 9, so some buying came in off the level, but there's still just about 19,000 shares on the ask. So I guess out of them for right now, this is making a much better run. I'll focus on Kronos for the meantime, not necessarily all the pot stocks, but I'll give this a shout. All right, so what else we got here? Just skimming across the gainers end here. VTNR leads our list, of course, at this point, still running, moving up pretty nice. BCRX ended up making a nice pop from earlier, and it's still kind of holding strong here. Good spread, good liquidity on the book. The tier size on level 2 checks. The stock's been on a roll lately, just across the last like several weeks, if anything. I don't think this is all-time highs. Just double check. Nope. At least dating back to 2015, it was topping off right around 1650-ish, I'd imagine there. 1683. Yep. And maybe, there's more before that. I mean, it's not all-time highs, but obviously making a really strong push. Just today of late, multi-year highs at least. And, for right now, definitely add this to our list. Still holding strong for the afternoon. All right, so what else we got here? I mean, may just hop over to the losers list for right now. SPY's just holding up, higher low, not much direction, at least so far, altogether today. Man, GOED got squashed, huh? common stock offering, I think it was, or direct offering, whatever they labeled it as, like at 225 even, and stock is still priced at 183. So that is not a good sign altogether for the stock. Yeah, I mean, bunch of stocks down big today, so I will check these out pretty quick. Like MOXC, I know is like kind of pop and drop type stock here. Oof, look at this drop today. From yesterday, ended up popping up after the open from 20 up to whatever that peak is on that red bar. Then obviously slammed much lower. So this was like one of those low float type of stocks, and you can't mess around with that. Same with the GOED, I believe. All right, let's see what else we got here, folks. PRVB. We've seen the stock across this week, shortable today. I noted that this morning on my notepad. I didn't really focus on it really, but dropped off nicely. Nice steady drop today. Great short. Would have worked out greatly. Just relatively slow for right now. I like the range on this on the chart across the last couple of days. You know what's throwing me off right now, and it's catching my eye. I don't know if you folks could see this. Maybe you just know if you've been following the stock this week, and perhaps more than me, I guess. But there's like a bit of a gap on the daily chart here. Notice that? That ain't no glitch. So I think the stock actually got halted from, this stock was trading back from earlier this week, like I said. Get my dates mixed up at least, but back on Tuesday, Wednesday, got halted all of yesterday. Wasn't trading yesterday at all. Then it reopened up this morning. That's pretty funky. I just noticed that right now. PRVB. I'm just going to check on Benzinga Pro right now. Yeah, resume trading, move higher, blah, blah, blah. All right, so FDA Advisory Committee votes in favor of approval of Prevention Bio's Diabetes Med. That's all we got there. Yeah, that's all I see for the most part. So nonetheless, I mean, it goes to show again, stock was shortable after the open. Clearly, market sentiment was to not hold the stock, really at much support. Ended up dropping off across the day gradually. Just given the range, this stock could be interesting. I don't mind just kind of slipping this on here at the end. We don't have too big of a list, and everything else checks out on the stock to make it tradable. All right. I think that just about does it. No other real familiar names on the losers end here, folks. If there's anything else that you folks see, for all of us live in Cyber Group, all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, just type it in the chat board. Let me know. And I'm going to get to a stock that I'm going to give the credit to Norman on this call out here. I saw it on Benzinga Pro as I was going through. I didn't know if it was like a fake pop or real pop. So, see one of our students call it out. I trust them and more than just seeing it on Benzinga. So nice pop from Eyes here. Good call. Yeah, I mean, a pop going into 2 o'clock even. I didn't see this prior to even the meeting starting. Popped pretty nicely. I guess this was kind of crawling up the gainer's end here as I was going from top to bottom. Yeah, easily enough, Eyes on our list. It's funny? You want to hear a joke? But not really. It's a joke. It's actually fairly true for every time we've seen Eyes pop, yours pops. That was just a blind. That was a blind shout right there. So I wanted to see if that was going to happen or not. You could see it popped. So it's pretty interesting. When Eyes pops, ears pops. Doesn't make, ears a great trade, but I guess this has good volume on the order book for right now. At times, this has really thin volume. So for right now, this checks out too. I like Eyes more. So I guess I'll kind of tag them together, I guess, but I like Eyes more. All right, so what else we got here, folks? Gene picking up 15 cents on VTNR. He was in from roughly 8, got out right at 8.13. Michael asking, didn't you have a good trade on PLTR? I did. Where is it on the gainers list, though, here, or losers list? Up, 1%. So, this isn't tradable now, Mike. Ended up making a nice pop from earlier today, at least. But for right now, I mean, this is dropping off more than anything. This is a much better short. It was from earlier today. News came out on Palantir from earlier this morning. I think another contract, government contract, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a nice runner going into the open. After the open, made the slingshot. That was one of my better trades, from the morning. But yeah, for the afternoon, not really too jumpy to it. All right, so that will get me to Mara, and then I'll sign off from here, folks. Mara, and then Bitcoin, of course. But Mara's dropping off right now. Ended up making a nice squeeze up going into the noon times, right here, and going into the afternoon. I thought it would make a nice job, do a good job holding off of 25 and moving back up here. So that's still in play. Mara's a relatively volatile stock, and I don't mean that in a bad way, actually. It's a stock that can give us 50 cents a dollar on any given trading session. So, I'm not going to put this on our main list, but I definitely have a focus on it, at least at some point. I'll check it out. I like some of the other stocks a little bit more here. EYES, VTNR, EMAN, if Kronos can get going into 3 o'clock here coming up. So we got Bitcoin, and then we'll sign off. But from where we left off yesterday on the hourly chart, practically like right here, things were slow, holding their own. Not much really to report about. But then shortly after, a gradual drop off. I'm not really too shocked at all by that. Just saying, hey, it ended up beginning to break down a little bit more here, and by pre-market 8 o'clock, it spiked right back up. So it's still kind of just, trying to hold its own going into, Memorial Day weekend, not even Memorial Day weekend, just the end of the month. You might see some profit taking or some people just selling off in fear of it moving lower even. Just I think over time going into mid to late June, we're going to see another like nice squeeze back up. Not to say new highs, but to say perhaps back up to 50K, that would be lovely. Perhaps optimism from my end than anything, but that's a goal going into mid to late June from my standpoint here. If there's great news that comes out, that might come sooner than later. If Elon Musk tweets something out about energy efficiency and some false narrative, then it might drop off a lot more. So you never know, but we'll see what comes going into Tuesday, not Monday of next week, right? All right, Chuck, nice catch on the short, man. Not just on the Tilray. He was short on Plug just now for 29 cents. Yeah, Plug was another one from this morning. Ended up making a nice pop, or actually afternoon. Early afternoon popped. And Chuck, you ended up shorting it right from 31.37. Nice catch. Alrighty, so folks, I'm going to call it a day, call it a week, call it a month, perhaps, at least for all of us in social media. I'll check back in with you folks going into Tuesday of next week, like I had said, just to reiterate for any of us, perhaps streaming domestically or not domestically. For anyone outside the United States, we are off on Monday. Again, I cannot thank anyone enough that has served just the armed forces, not here, just within the U.S., but of course, just all around the world. So thank you. And then for all of us live inside the trading room, I'll be back on the mic myself. I'll be taking you into the close at 3:30. I know that Rich will be on the mic shortly after 3 o'clock here coming up. All right, I'll talk to you then. Take care.